He also said these are interconnected stories, but people are always going to be saying, who's the big bad? Are there big bads for connected films? Yes, but this is about, hey, I'm telling this one story about, or he said, hey, is this, I'm telling one story about the big bad? No. This is about a connected universe. We're world building, we're not story building. We're not writing one story that has a beginning, middle, and an end, which I would say is kind of like phase one, two, and three of Marvel. That kind of does feel like they did it really well. I'm not taking that away from them, but it did feel like it was building to a climactic ending there. Then he also says we're creating a universe where people in which doesn't make sense, can go and join in and experience. It is much more like Star Wars. And to continue, I'm committed to both telling stories in the DCU and telling Elseworld stories. I want the freedom to tell Elseworld stories as well. We want to be able to tell a story about Superman that's different, like Red Sun. And he put Red Sun in quotes, and that makes me think that we're going to get a Red Sun movie at some point. If that was the first thing he thought of. But he says we want to be able to play with these characters in different ways. I think that's part of the fun of DC. So a lot to break down there. At the same time, not that much to break down. But that kind of goes from what we've talked about in the past, that they're just committed to telling good stories. Each individual movie has to be their own good stories. It might not feel as like Marvel's beginning, middle, end, Thanos, Infinity Arc kind of deal, which makes me sad a little bit. I do like that big bad growing towards a Thanos
Right.
style.
Yeah, because that's how Phase 5 has kind of felt,
Right,
where it's kind of all over the place. I mean, not all of them aren't great stories. If DC has all great stories, it'll be better. But still,
right.
it's kind of like we're here, we're there, we're here. But I feel like there's still gonna be those little interconnective weaves.
There
James
will.
Gunn's gonna do that if he's in charge of everything. Like there'll
I
be the
think
little
there.
hints and teases.
I think there could be even more than Marvel on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're not building to one big bad, I think that they are. He's like he said, he's committed to telling like everything is taking place in the same universe. All these characters cross over. Like any comic you read, whether it's just a Batman or a Superman title, it feels like 75% of the time there are cameos from other characters. Like it's very rarely ever just a Batman comic or Superman comic. And that doesn't mean they're building towards some big team up in those comics, but they are all in the same universe. Of course, they're going to talk and meet. And that's exciting because the cameos themselves are exciting. You don't necessarily have to be building up to a big bad the whole time, but just seeing the other characters, why they're in these stories, just seeing them, it's a lot of fun. So I mean,
Right.
this all sounds really cool. And
But
he said how he's just so committed for the scripts to be good before they greenlight anything. Like
mhm.
I'm just really happy with that.
Right. But do you think does his end game have to be Dark Side and Apocalypse, or is there another way?
I don't think they're doing Dark Side. I don't know what
Like
this.
like down the road, like their end game, after there's been 20 movies. Do you think he has to kind of do that, or you think he goes in a different direction because of Snyder?
And you don't mean Dark Side, or do you mean Dark Side specifically?
Yeah, or both of them, kind of, the Dark Side Apocalypse kind of thing.
I think during James Gunn's run on DC, we will see Dark Side as the big bad eventually for sure. I don't think Chapter One. I don't think that at all, because of the Snyderverse. It very well could be. I don't know. I could see a lot of weird different things building as far as big bads go. Darkseid seems like the most important. He seems like the most likely just because he is the big bad of the Justice League in some ways. But then again, we haven't even seen him in the comics for a long time as the big bad. It's been
Right.
like 2010 or something like that. There's a lot he could do. There's a lot of different characters he could play with, but Darkseid I don't think. I still kind of think I don't know. I'm not going to get into it because it can get all over the place. Um, so we're moving away from James Gunn. That's a lot of quotes, a lot of fun stuff to break down. And but by the way, I do think there will be obviously a big bad. Eventually, we're gonna have a Justice League movie, and there will be a big bad. They even said the Lanterns show shows you kind of the idea of what the big bad's going to be. So there is something. There's going to be a little bit of building to a big bad, and that's great. All right, next Clayface movie in the works. Very interesting. It's really weird because we've gotten confirmation on over 10 projects. And all of a sudden we hear about this one, and all of a sudden it's in production, in active development. So it sounds like he just got a really good script and he was all about it. So we're getting Clayface. And I think it's DCU. I don't think it's Elseworlds. I certainly don't think it's Reeves' universe. I think it's a DCU Clayface.
I think so. I mean, if it's Mike Flanagan though, I don't know how. Maybe it's just like this standalone kind of thing where it could be DCU, but I don't. You think it's going to tie in?
It, no, you're right. It could be. I think it's still DCU. I think you're going to build the character and you're going to be able to use that character later. I don't think it's going to be significant as far as the whole DCU goes. And with what he says, none of the stories are, not many of the stories are going to be very significant to the big picture of the DCU story. But Clayface is an interesting character. I could see him adapting this comic about One Bad Day, which has a lot of commentary to how movies are made, and I think that would fit in really well with what's been going on, especially with Star Wars and Marvel, how these projects are just coming out and they are just so basic without really a story to tell, without something to say. They're safe. They lack emotion. And what's funny about that is this Clayface comic, it's part of this One Bad Day series. Basil Carlo, Clayface himself, he wants to be an actor. And basically, when he's doing auditions, he brings this emotion, this depth to his characters, but the directors and the people watching the auditions are like, no, just tone it down. We don't need anything special. We just need something to spoon feed the audience, just fodder, just put stuff out. And it sounds so much like what we've been getting from Marvel and DC. And he's like, no, like this character is like dark. He's experienced serious loss. Like we have to like reach an emotional level, blah, blah, blah. And, so it could totally be a commentary on what's been going on today. And dude, some of the quotes that James Gunn have been saying feels like a commentary on what Marvel and Star Wars have been doing. He's like, yeah, we're not going to greenlight a show unless we have an amazing script. We're not just going to put movies out there just to put some characters out there. It feels like he's saying these things to Marvel and DC. And if that's true, then why not make a movie with all this commentary about that?
Right. Yeah. And Mike Flanagan, Haunting of Hill House is one of my favorite like mini series of all time. It's so scary, so good.
I'm gonna have to watch it. What's it on?
Netflix.
Miniseries, so just one season.
One season, like 8 episodes. It's like a multi-timeline. They were all lived in a haunted house as kids.
Interesting.
It tells like their story as adults and kids at the same time, and there's a crazy ass plot twist at the end. It's a very good show.
And Flanagan has done a lot of decent horror stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has a few. There's like a Haunting of Bly Manor, I think it's called, which is also very good. It's some of the same actors, but it's a totally new story. It's like kind of set in the past. Also good. And then there's another one he did. I think it revolves around like a priest in a church in the South or something.
Oh, Doctor Sleep too. Wasn't that pretty highly?
I enjoyed that. It's in the Shining sequel.
Yeah. Haunting
it's
on Hill House. He did Ouija, Origin of Evil. I feel like I saw that and it was actually kind of scary. Anyway, full-on horror character. Yeah, Clayface gets jealous about his buddy getting the audition, so he kills him and takes his form and then goes to shoot the movie as his friend because he could look like whoever. He's kind of like a Skrull in that way.
Okay. Is he a human or is he like a creature?
He's human, but I don't know how he got his powers. But yeah, he could change himself through this clay form to look like anybody. He could look like he could make multiple bodies for himself. But yeah, he kills his buddy, takes the role, goes and shoots that movie as his buddy. His director doesn't like it because he still tries to bring that emotion to it, and they're just trying to spoon feed fodder to the audience. So he kills his director, becomes the director, and now he's in charge of the whole set. Like, it's pretty crazy.
It sounds like a HBO series.
Yeah, and I'm just referring to this one comic, this One Bad Day comic. Very interesting though, and I kind of hope they adapt that one. He doesn't really have any other main focus in a story. Mm-hmm. There's one other. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, that'd be fun. Clayface. It's just really random, but I am excited. We're building some Batman rogues. Before we get Batman, I really like that idea. Right. As long as you're not Sony, because that didn't work out. Let's move on to Creatures Commandos. Just real quick, they have renewed for season 2. They're already a green light for
Nice.
season 2, and that's exciting. A little non-spoiler review here. I am not a big animated fan. There's some animated I like. I love the Spider-Verse movies. I love Clone Wars. I like some of that DC animated stuff. Creatures Commandos has been really good, though. I want to be honest, I'm really hooked, especially the last episode that revolves around Weasel. And it's the first animated show where I almost teared up. It's a really sad story. It's
Huh.
very, very sad and tragic, along with,
Weasel from Suicide Squad.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's part of the team, and like you get the reason he's on the team in the first place is heartbreaking. So you get that. That's a very sad story, and that's not what the whole episode is about. There's also a lot of rich DC lore that they put into this episode, and a part of it makes me feel like this character named Cersei might be involved in the big bad situation.
Huh.
She sees these. I guess that's kind of spoiler-y. But they talk about the Amazons and Themyscira. Cersei's from
Really?
the Themyscira and feels really important in the DCU.
It's funny how they copy names because that's one of the Eternals' names, right?
Yeah.
Cersei.
No, get this. Deathstroke. Wade Wilson is Deadpool, right?
Uh-huh.
And Deathstroke kind of looks like
Yeah, he has the
Deadpool.
vibes.
Similar.
Yeah.
His name is Slade Wilson.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
funny. Obviously, he doesn't crack jokes like Deadpool. It's very different, but
Yeah.
looks the same. It's got damn near the same name. Anyway, yeah, so Cersei and Amazonian might have something to do with the big bad, and that gives some light. But the show is really good. I like the
Really?
animation style. I really like the style of
I
it.
didn't love it from the trailer. You like it though?
Yeah, I like it. And I didn't love the trailer, and I didn't love episode 1. I think it's getting a little better as it's going on, especially the last episode. That's what really sold me. I was kind of like, whatever, just another, pretty good animated show. Loved the last episode.
How many episodes have there been, and how long are they?
I think 4, and I think they're like 30 minutes each.
Okay, 30 minutes each isn't bad. You can kind of
Yeah.
just power through it.
Yeah. I kind of think Clayface is in that show as a person that we don't know yet. He was in the he was in the trailer too.
Right.
So I wonder if that voice actor is the one who's going to be acting as Clayface.
Spoiler. I'm
Yeah,
just
we
saying,
haven't-
not a spoiler for you, but a spoiler for the future if they
Yeah.
continue that.
We haven't seen Clayface yet. But anyway, Creatures Commandos is pretty solid.